At the moment, there are more people who want to come back home than we have isolation centers and beds for them. So we want to make sure that all the facilities and all the resources are available to cater for them when they come in here. And also when at the departure point, we also want to make sure that everything is taken care of. People are justifiably concerned about the possibility of bringing home people that might be positive, and also just the risk of infections even on the flight coming here. So we have to take all the precautions we can to minimize that kind of risk. So at the airport, having mechanisms to see whether there are symptoms that are displayed by the intending passengers and so forth. And then, of course, we have to now choose which countries we want to start with. We're pitching it at about 200, at Lagos. We're looking at 200 evacuees that we can accommodate at a time. And since they're going to have to be there for 2 weeks, it'll mean we'll have to bring 200 back, then for a period of 14 days, and then before we can bring in another 200 for both Abuja and for Lagos. So we'd also have to look at the cities. So the most important part at this stage is obviously to secure the vehicles, the planes, to bring them back, and we've now done that. So hopefully, if we can tie up the other loose ends, we'll hope to start, hopefully, maybe towards the end of next week.
Newsflash takes off with the extension of the closure of international airports in the country by 2 weeks as part of measures to further contain the coronavirus pandemic. This decision was disclosed by the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, via his Twitter handle. The Nigerian government shut all international airports in the country on March the 23rd, 2020 for 1 month. However, the government said emergency and essential flights could be operated from any of the airports within the period. The Airline Operators of Nigeria has called on the federal government to consider an urgent stimulus grant for domestic airlines to cushion the negative effects of post-COVID-19 virus on their operations. AON said the palliative measures should include deliberate sourcing, loans, grants, tax waivers, special forex windows and rates, reduction of airport taxes or surcharges, and waivers to the airline operators. The umbrella body of all domestic airline owners in the country said this will help cushion the losses of about 360 billion naira since the pandemic began. In line with the social distancing guideline of COVID-19, Dana Air has said it will keep the middle seats on all its aircraft empty upon resumption of flights. The airline's accountable manager, Obi Mbanuza, said Dana Air will commence this initiative when flights resume, maintain it for a while, and listen to the feedback from the airline's customers. While Nigerian carriers are seeking help, South African Airlines is offering severance packages to its workforce of around 5,000 workers, a proposal by the airline's administrators has showed. This comes after the government said it would no longer provide funds for rescue efforts. South African Airlines entered a form of bankruptcy protection in December, and the airline has not been profitable since 2011 and has received more than $1.1 billion in bailouts in the past 3 years, providing a drain on public resources at a time of weak economic growth. Finally, on Newsflash, a controversial hospital for coronavirus victims is being built on the runways of Istanbul's Ataturk Airport. Ataturk used to be the main airport for the country of 16 million people, but it was closed to scheduled flights after the completion of a new facility about a year ago. Now it's being used for only cargo and official government flights, and the new hospital is being constructed on 2 of its 3 runways, attracting criticism from the city's mayor, who said it might still be needed in emergencies like earthquakes. Major Ekrem Imamoglu accused the government of deliberately destroying the airport, saying the new hospital could have been sited in a Congress center nearby or in adjacent empty fields. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan announced the construction of 2 pandemic-field hospitals earlier this month, saying they will be finished in 45 days. A fact that has been reiterated by some airline operators. The International Air Transport Association has released February 2020 data for global air freight markets, showing that demand measured in cargo tons kilometers decreased by 1.4% compared to the same period in 2019. The spread of COVID-19 intensified over the month of February, and with it, the impact on air cargo adjusted demand for air cargo fell by 9.1%. Asia-Pacific carriers were the most affected, with a seasonally adjusted drop of 15.5%. The disruption of global supply chains led to a fall in demand, but the dramatic disruption in passenger traffic resulted in even deeper cuts to cargo capacity, and the industry is struggling to serve remaining demand with the limited capacity available. Experts are that the effect of the Nigerian air cargo market is also huge. Among all the uncertainty in this crisis, IATA says one thing is clear: air cargo is vital. It's delivering life-saving drugs and medical equipment, and it is supporting global supply chains. That's why it's critical for governments to remove any blockers as the industry does all it can to keep the global air cargo network functioning in the crisis and ready for the recovery.
The turnaround is completely bad. I can cite an example. There are cargoes that want to move from Sofia in Bulgaria, for example. It was scheduled to move straight to Addis, then to Lagos. It was trucked to Austria first. From Austria, they were supposed to ship it to Addis. It couldn't go. They trucked it down to Lej. So, and now from Lej, it's sitting down there, and we're waiting, and it has been scheduled for another 2 weeks to come to Nigeria. So it is this bad. So it's a very challenging period for everyone in the cargo business. Because of the restriction, it's difficult to move shipment, transport. If you want to take a produce from the farmland, for example, the farmer is able to harvest it. How do you get it to the city? And eventually, if it gets to the city, how do you get workers to process it, to package it? Most packaging companies, the reliable ones, are closed because they are not part of essential services. And then you come to the airport, you have restricted services, limited services at the export warehouses. So it's near zero.
When Aviation This Week returns, a report on the impact of COVID-19 on hospitality and tourism. Do join us again.